Hi, and welcome to the Pembroke Pines Book Club. Today, we're here to review Pat Conroy's new book called South of Broad. And with me are Anita Schechter, Donna Cooperman, a new reviewer, and Florence Margolis. Hi, ladies.
Hi.
Hi, Elaine.
It took me, when I saw that Pat Conroy had written a new book, I couldn't wait to get on the mailing list. When it came out, I wanted the first copy because I have been reading him for years. And what I didn't know was that it was 14 years before from the last book to this one. My time goes very quickly. But once again, Pat Conroy wrote about his part of the South very well, and I loved it. Anybody want to chip in?
Well, Go ahead.
I loved it too. It was a wonderful book. It's a story about different people, entirely different people, friends that meet in high school.
9 friends.
And how they all become very close friends. There are times that they're not that close, but it's really a wonderful, wonderful book. It starts with the principal of the school sends her son across the street to bring some cookies to 2 new children that had just moved across the street. And I really don't want to tell you too much about it because you're going to enjoy the book so much. But from there starts a wonderful story.
It's a wonderful story on many levels. It's a great read.
Oh, yeah.
Because Conroy is a wonderful writer.
And storyteller, a great storyteller.
Yes, but even his descriptions. Sometimes I'll read a book that's heavy on description of place, and I'll skip a lot of the description. You don't want to skip this description because...
Like James Michener.
He loves Charleston, and he loves the islands.
Yeah.
Sullivan's Island and Kiowa Island and John's Island. And if you've ever been to Charleston and if you've ever visited the islands, he is telling the story with such accurate description that you can taste the seafood,
Yes,
you can smell the salt water.
Yeah.
I was just reading a line from a review, and it said, Pat Conroy owns South Carolina's coast.
Yes.
Because he loves it so.
Yes.
And it comes through in everything he writes.
Yes.
But the people that he writes about,
Yes.
in the depth that he goes into, and
Yes.
the different personalities from one extreme to the other.
Yes, but he always writes about rather dysfunctional people.
Yeah.
I was going to say that.
Yeah.
And so, to me, what was most interesting about this book was that he interwove a number of very topical themes.
Right. In these 9 characters,
Yes.
you had a microcosm of the world.
Yes,
Right.
yes. And the way that he told the story, starting from high school,
Right.
taking you to the present, moving back to high school, back to the present, worked so well.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm disoriented when an author skips back and forth in time, but this was perfectly constructed. The story, you wanted to go back and learn more.
Right.
You didn't skip over anything.
Florence, what do you think?
One of my favorite books of all times was The Prince of Tides. I love that book. And also, it was quite dysfunctional.
Yes.
But I can really tell you that I like this better. First of all, from the very first page, when I finished reading it, I said to my husband, pack up, we're moving to Charleston. Because his description and his love just flowed through my body. I was ready to go.
Right.
And of course, as they have said, the characters, each and every one of them, were so real and vibrant and important and integral to the whole story. And we don't want to give away too much because it's a book everyone must read. You
And
really
this
must
is
read
definitely
it.
a must
Functional,
read.
from someone getting AIDS to the first African American that entered the high school to the one that became the actress, and as they said, the mouth like a sewer.
Yeah, that nobody wanted to play with that,
Right.
that
The
young
one
black
that had
man
been,
in school
not
football.
adopted, but she had been in a home for so many years that when she married, she became even more dysfunctional. And it was just
To crazy
it's
father
it's
and...
it's
it
a
was
wonderful book. And
Wonderful.
you won't be able to put it down, I suggest you.
It's
Right.
true. It's a big book, and yet,
Not big enough.
No, it
not
could have
big
gone
enough.
on and on. That's the way I didn't want it to
Yeah.
end. I really didn't want it to end.
oh, I felt like I was losing friends.
Right. Some books we have said here that we were so glad that we're never going to see them again. This one, I really am sorry.
I'm so happy. This is.
He does a
I
wonderful
mean,
job.
we did a review of Elmore Leonard's book.
Oh.
And I'm telling you, if everybody hated
Hated
it
it.
Right.
and chopped the author to pieces, and it's so nice to
That's a
have
wonderful
this book that
yeah.
everybody loved.
Yeah.
It was
And take tissues with you when you read it.
Oh, yes, you need
Yes.
will
them.
cry.
Yes,
do
that,
cry.
and I started to think about that. I found myself tearing up, not just because something was written that was sad, but it was such genuine writing.
Yeah.
And genuine friendships,
Yes.
which made it so strong.
People who really care about each other, even though they are so different
Yeah,
from
very
each
different.
other.
And their differences,
And
he
they are-
shows their
Right,
differences,
yes,
too.
absolutely.
And they have their disagreements because of their differences,
Yes.
but they come back.
But they come back.
They
When
come back.
someone needs
When
them, they
somebody
They're
always
needs
there,
them, they're there.
exactly,
Although
and
I-
that's so beautiful.
I have
As a
to
good
say-
friend, I would go to Europe if a friend is in trouble anytime.
Or California.
California,
Get on
I
a
definitely
plane.
would do that. But I have to say, of all the characters, the one I really just couldn't make myself care about.
Was the young
Chad.
man.
Chad, yeah.
Chad.
Well,
I
okay,
just-
because there has to be a character
A villain.
that you
There
cannot
has to be a
relate.
But you
villain.
see,
There's a guy that you boo when
Right,
he was
that's- he
in.
was the
but they
villain.
understood him, and they accepted
They
him
accepted him.
for his limitations.
I wouldn't have, but they did.
They did.
And so there was a beauty in that too. But I mean, yes, he was the product of his
Upbringing.
of his, the family status and, the whole Charleston.
Right. Upper class.
Upper class, right.
Exactly.
But he was mean. It
Yeah.
wasn't just that he was privileged. He was mean.
Yeah.
But they accepted him in his meanness, and I thought that
They
was
grew up with him. So it's easy to accept somebody that you know from the time you're a child.
Yes.
You meet somebody like him later in years,
You
you
don't
wouldn't
accept
even be
them.
bothered.
But
No.
if you meet someone like the twins that had a father, that
yeah,
was a
monster.
killer. He was
Yes.
A monster.
It was horrible.
Yes.
And then your mother wouldn't have let you go to that house.
That's
Oh,
right.
never.
So what do you think? You think we're going to recommend?
Again,
Thumbs up.
Absolutely.
Thumbs
Thumbs
up.
up.
4
Absolutely.
thumbs up.
Wonderful
It's a great
book.
book, right?
For South of Broad by Pat Conroy. And so thank you for joining us for this review of the Pembroke Pines Book Club with Florence Margolis. Thanks, Florence. Donna Cooperman. Thank you, Donna. And Anita Schechter, as always. Thank you, Anita.